One bit of advice before you build the board, or at least before you put it into the case, why is that doing weird things, is make sure you clean off the little mouse nibble marks, especially on the two ends of the board. It'll just make it easier to slip into the case at the end, as you'll see in the build video to come. Okay, just keep that in mind. Hi. Today I'm going to do a build video for the Logic Probe kit that I had in the Tindy store, and there will be more coming out eventually. I'll try to keep those in stock as I can. So if you ordered one, you got this pretty pink bubble envelope. Inside there are a few things. One, you have my business card, which is a bit bigger than usual. It's a Magic the Gathering token as well. That was a fad at one point. There's the little kit with all the parts for the Logic Probe. And depending on whether you ordered the 3D printed case or whether you're going to print your own, there's the two pieces of the case, the cover and the main body of it. So we're going to walk through putting the board together and mounting it in the case and getting it all up and running. So let's go over to the bench and get to work. Okay, we're at the bench. First thing we're going to do is open this up and get out all the parts. There's a bunch of parts. We'll need that later. And let's just go through making the board. Now, I should put the board here, have a look at it. Don't tighten it too much. Here, let's flip it around so we can read it. So I've made the board with all the parts nicely labeled. And it's pretty regular. There is 3 resistors here, a transistor, 3 resistors, a couple transistors, 3 resistors, another transistor, another resistor, a couple LEDs. So that's pretty straightforward. So let's go through, starting with the resistors. And I like going through in order and building it up gradually. So we need a 150K resistor. That's going to be this one. I don't know if you can see, but it is brown, green, yellow. That's 1, 5, and 4 zeros. So we'll bend it. And make sure, like I've said in all my other videos, I like to make all the resistors go the same way so they look good. So there's the 150. We need a 10K. It's going to be here. There's several of those, 3 of those in the kit. It's the, so this way, brown 1, black 0, and then 3 zeros. So 1 0, 3 zeros, 10K. And we'll bend that. Put that in. And we need a 76K. That one's, at least in these early kits, that's easy to find. It's the actually one with the blue body. And it's a 76.8 actually. So it's got a whole bunch of bands. So just 7, 6, there we go. And these holes are tiny. Alright, so those 3. Like I said, I like to do this gradually so there isn't a bunch of confusion on the bottom. Bend the wires so they'll stay in place. Put it there. And solder it up. There we go. Yep. That looks good. Access. There we go. All right, and then clip them off. 3 are close enough. Snips can just take them all off at once. Now flip it over again. Like I said, I'm just going to go through the board and gradually populate it. So now we need a 2N3904 resistor. And I've made a point, as I said, of labeling all the parts on the board. So we need, there are 4 transistors in this. There's 3 3904s and one other one, which is the PNP. On the board it's labeled a BC557, and at the moment I do have BC557s. Some kits might have a slightly different one. There'll always be 3 2N3904s and then another one, which will typically start with BCC. So we have the 3 NPNs and then the 1 PNP. If you go to the learning guide, you can look at the schematic and description of how it works. Now, all the transistor outlines have the flat side identified. All the transistors will have a flat side to them. And you just get the holes in and push it down. You want to get it down as close to the board as you can so that there's room for the lid, doesn't interfere with the lid. So there we go. That's pretty close down. So you can see we got that right down. Now the leads, we can bend and sort of out at 3 angles like that. And soldered it. There we go. And now clip these off. Cool. One at a time, it's taken shape. Now, 3 more resistors. We have a 1K. There it is. And this one is a 1K. It'll be brown, black, red. So a 1, a 0, followed by 2 zeros. That's 1000. It's a 1K ohm resistor. So that goes up here. And then we have another 10K. Like I said, there's 3 of those in the kit. That is the brown, black, orange. So bend that. And brown, black, orange. And then a 4.7K. And that one's pretty easy to tell. It's the only one that starts with a yellow band, be yellow, purple, red. 4.7 followed by 2 zeros, that's 4.7K. There we go. And as before, hold them down, bend the pins out. And again, you don't want to bend them too far, like 30 degrees probably. Otherwise, they're close to the board, it's more awkward to clip them. They could interfere with other leads. This board is pretty tight. Okay. And clip. And clip. There. Now we have a couple more transistors. So we have, let's do this one first. So we'll go in order. That's the BC557. That's the single transistor. It'd be labeled specifically not 3904. And again, we have the flat side, and we line that up. We get the whole leads in the holes, and just wiggle it down so that it's nice and close to the board like that. Right. We can bend those leads out of the way. There we go. And yeah, let's just put that one on before we do the other one. Again, partly just to get those leads clipped off and out of the way, since the board is so packed close, or everything's packed really close on it. It's nice to get those leads out of the way before we do the next component.
The resistors are fine because they're side by side, whereas these transistors, they're front to back sort of thing, right? So the leads can get confused or just bump into each other and just get in the way. So again, we wiggle that down so that it's right down, all the way down, close to the board. Don't go too far, you might cause some damage to the leads, but try and get it down as close as you can, because otherwise it will get in the way of the lid later on. Okay. There we go. Good. Yep. There we go. Now we have 3 more resistors. A 220 ohm, not 220K, 220 ohm. That's a red. That's 22, and brown, which is 1. So a 2210, 220. Likewise, we bend, line it up, and that is for one of the LEDs. Then we have a couple of 10K resistors. So we have one here, and that goes there, and we have another one, and it. There we go. Bend the leads out and solder them down. I think it's actually a pretty simple kit. There's not a lot of parts. It's a small board, and like I said, I've made a point of trying to label the board incredibly well so that it's obvious what goes where. And given there's not a lot of parts, hopefully that makes for an easy to build kit. Trim. Flip it over. One more resistor. Actually, let's do that transistor first. Another 3904. So get the transistor. Flat side is that way, away from us. And wiggle it down. Right, there we go. Nicely down. And again, we'll bend these leads. There. There. Now, I'm getting close to the end. One more resistor, which was right here. Oh, there it is. I roll under the bottom of my pen vise. So here we go. This one's a 680 ohm. So it's blue 6, gray 8, and final band, the multiplier band, is brown, which is 1. So 6810 680. That one goes here. That is for the red LED. Solder those down, or those ends. Trim the leads. Put over. We have 2 LEDs. They're both in the same batch of parts, so they should be nicely matched. We have high and low. I tend to use the green for high. You notice here the flat side of the high LED is there. The flat side of the low LED is there. So match that up with your LEDs. And typically the flat side should be the cathode, so the long pin should go in the hole furthest away. So you can see that like that. So flat side toward me on that one, and this one flat side away from me, long lead toward me. And we'll bend those away. And what I'm going to do here is a little different. The other components are just soldered in. These I'm going to do one pin, because these are going to poke through the holes in the lid, and I want these nice and flat against the circuit board. So I have my finger underneath the green LED, and I'm going to loosen or melt that solder and push it up so it's sitting right snug up against the board, and hold it while the solder cools. And I do the same thing with the red one, snug up against the board. Now you can see they're right up there against the board, nice and snug. And that will just make sure that they're aligned properly for the lid, and that they're the same height and this facing the same direction, and a little attention to detail. There we go. Now, clip. There. So now it's built. Let's temporarily hook up some wires here, and yeah, let's get a couple of wires. I just want to at this point, before putting it into the case and everything, make sure it's working. And to do that, I am just going to use a couple bits of hookup wire, tin yin. I'm just going to tack these onto the pads. So I'm going to take our little tip piece and just tin the end of that, and just tack it up here. Right. So now, where's my little powered breadboard? Okay, and so we can see the LEDs. Let's hold it. Let's say we go ground, red one comes on, we go 5 volt, green one comes on. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Look at that, nice and bright. And if there's nothing connected, I mean, we can see with the capacitive touch, we can actually see some stuff going on. It's weird. But typically, no capacitor touch, no LEDs on, green when it's on power, red when it's on ground. So that works. All right, now we have the board built. So we'll start with the case. So I've made power cable out of just a couple pieces of wire, this jumper wire. So I have male on the ends to plug into the breadboard, and I've stripped and tinned the other ends. So that goes through the hole in the end of the case. Two of those through. So much difficulty. There we go. Pull those through like that. Now the other one we clipped off, and it is just the male end, and it will go through here. We thread the wire through, we jiggle it around a bit because there's the hole in there. There we go, you can see it coming through. And let's see. So this is made to press fit one of these jumper ends into the end of that. So we can use pliers just to push it down like that. And that gives us this wire here. And that'll attach to the probe end of the board. So here, let's bend this up. Turn the soldering iron on. And now, I did my original prototype soldering this on once the board was in, but I nicked the side a little bit, so I think it's generally better to do all the wiring with the board outside and then get the board in. So our soldering iron is just about up to temperature. There we go. So let's make yellow our power lead. Oh, it's a little awkward. I'm going to some more solder on that pad. Go. That one's on. And then this wire, let's pull this out now. Actually, let's slip this in. Just hold that. And then put a little solder on this pad. And if we tin things ahead of time, it makes it easier to, it's still hot, easier to connect them here. So now, yeah, you saw that, that hurt. There we go. There. Right, so we have the power on and the probe end in. Now, we just want to carefully wiggle the board. The tolerances are pretty tight. Let's bring this up here. Right. There we go. Gentle but firm. There. And the board is in. So now I'm going to find our lid piece, which is here. And this is just a press fit. So let's see how it's going to fit. Oh, no way. Right, so this I found happens, even though it's designed to fit over these leads. With the printing, it's a little sloppy, so you'll often have to get out your X-Acto knife and clean out those holes a little bit, just to make them a little bit bigger. And also, if you notice, you can notice here, actually, I'll put my finger behind it, the hole isn't completely round. There's a little bit of little artifact there from the printing. So just very gently with the X-Acto blade, enlarge the hole a little bit and make it, if there's a little bump, try to get that off. And just clean it up and clean it out. Very gently. Careful with your fingers. Now let's see. There we go. So that press fits right on. There we go. There's a little bit of a bulge because of that transistor. But, so yeah, keep in mind before you get to this point, watch the whole video first. And make sure those mouse bites are filed off. I'll put a note on that in the comments of the video. Hopefully people see that first. So plug it in, power it up, and now ground. We have power over there, or VCC 5 volts over here, ground over there. You can see, yeah, you can see the light going. There you go. Logic probe. Tell your friends.